Welcome back, Shalligators. Today we're going to talk about the Met Gala. We're going to do a little recap, and more importantly, because listen, I'm already recapping, I'm shredding the outfits on my Instagram. Head over there, Shallon XO, if you want to check out my commentary on what everybody was wearing. I wasn't being completely uncharitable. There were some people who looked great, and those people were Sydney Sweeney, and you know what? I honestly loved Kendall Jenner's outfit. I really did. And I loved Kim's. I thought that they really brought the heat. So good for them. We'll talk about Kylie. She is the most boring, overrated person on planet Earth. There is never an ounce of personality that comes out her. There just isn't. It's always just like, she's just kind of there. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about the outfits. But you know, I asked you guys on my Instagram for your feedback, and we're going to read some of your opinions about the Met Gala. But overall, I want to talk to you about a theme that kept bubbling up. Climbing your way to the top of a social scene. How do you do it? The word social climber is not really used as a compliment. Oh, Maria, she's a real social climber. And yet, the people who attended that Met Gala, every single person who was there, make no mistake, is one. Any person that you look up to is in fact a social climber. So maybe it's time we start to reframe what this word means and the connotation. Normalize that. And I am no exception to that. In fact, I'm one of the most strategic and ardent social climbers that I've ever met. And you know what? I live an excellent life. I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm going to tell you how I went from such a nerd to an absolute it girl in some of the hardest markets ever to break into. So let's get into it. Listen, don't forget about my new dating course, Happy Endings. It is a 5-day, 5-video crash course on how to get love and success on dating apps. Dating apps are overwhelming. You know, maybe you're on all the apps and you're like, I don't even know if I'm on the right ones. I'm going to tell you which ones I have found work the best and why. I'm going to tell you exactly verbatim what to put in your profile to attract the right kind of guys and weed out the wrong ones. I'm going to tell you the 5 photos a guy wants to see. They're already in your phone. Very easy. How to swipe with intention, take it out of the pen pal phase where you're just like talking endlessly on the app and get him to ask you out. There's a magic phrase. And how to act on a date, you know, what to bring up, what not to, when you should bring up heavy issues. Is that the first date? Is that the third date? I got you covered, because all of my relationships pretty much have come from dating apps. You know, we can talk about like, oh, it's stupid. What was the old way? Going to bars and getting wasted and hoping that some asshole in this random TGI Fridays is your next husband? Please. This is the new way, and I can tell you how to do it because I'm all about strategy. So let's talk about the Met Gala. Okay, so like I said, go to my Instagram, Shallon XO. I'm shredding and breaking down the outfits, but just a quick recap. I thought Kim looked great. I thought that this was a nod to like, not only her old Playboy cover, when she was like covered in pearls, but Chanel. Okay, so the theme of the Met Gala was Karl Lagerfeld, who died in 2019 and has this incredibly wealthy cat, Choupette, which means sweetie in French. Now, if you also go to my Instagram, my latest grid post is talking about the absolute bananas life of Choupette. Like, she is wealthier and lives a better life than any celebrity who was at that Met Gala, by far. Like, and it's not even fucking close. So go check out the life of Choupette. And that's why several people dressed as cats, because it was an homage to Karl's kitten. She's 11 years old now, and Karl died in 2019. So Karl he famously turned around Chanel. So I also, on my Instagram, I go into the history of Chanel, the fashion house Chanel, which is full of like Nazis and royal snubs. Coco Chanel was a real piece of shit. She's a real piece of shit. She was I wouldn't even call her a Nazi sympathizer. I'll call her a straight up Nazi. So I go into that. But Lagerfeld turned it all around, which is why you can feel okay about carrying Chanel. I have Chanel. It's not like a Nazi house of fashion anymore. Lagerfeld really brought it all together. And he went on, he designed for Chloe, Fendi, oh gosh, a bunch of others. And I mean, he was just a genius. He was a genius. And he was weird as fuck. I got 2 words for you. Diet Coke. Bro, I break it down. So head over to my Instagram. But I loved the theme because it was so specific. And the themes in the past were like camp. And some people were like, what? And I, as someone who throws a lot of theme parties, nothing makes me crazier than someone who comes dressed not as the theme. Don't come if you're not going to dress as the theme. And whenever I have a party, I always say, you can invite whoever you want. My house is the more the merrier. Like, I don't care if I don't know you. I don't care if we met once. Everyone is welcome, but you have to be dressed on the theme or you can't come in. I don't care if you're my best friend. If you're in jeans and the theme is homecoming, get the fuck out. I think it's so incredibly disrespectful to a host when they're going out of their way to curate like a whole vibe and then you pop that bubble. And truly, I think it only takes one person to be like, well, I didn't have it, so oh, you guys all look, get out. And to me, that person was Suki Waterhouse. What the fuck was she wearing? What was she wearing? This outfit was like cute or whatever, but it has nothing. It's not Chanel, it's not Lagerfeld, it's not Paris. So the classic Chanel look is like tweed, pearls, black, white, chains, sculptural, like, you know Chanel when you see it. What is this? What is this? It's cute. Like, it's very like wood nymph spring. That's not the theme. That's not the theme. Also, like her hair, is she even wearing lipstick? I don't know. Like, your love is not an accessory. Your love is not an accessory. I was kind of pissed about this. Margot Robbie also disappointed me. She's such a beautiful girl. She looks like she's wearing no makeup. This dress is like it's inoffensive, but to me, that's almost the cardinal sin of the Met Gala when your dress is forgettable. I'd rather someone go wildly in the other direction and be like kind of bananas than just be forgettable. Like Ashley Graham's dress is like crazy and over the top, but in a way that I'm like, all right, cool. Like she's trying. Margot, and I saw pictures of this at the inside the actual Met Gala, and it's even worse, like close up. It's even more plain and generic. And I'm like, what? Who did this to you? And by the way, this is the first year, from my knowledge, that they've let a photographer into the actual Met Gala. That was the whole thing. There's no photos inside. It's like a very closed thing. And I kind of thought that was cool, that like we only get to see the red carpet and who knows what goes on inside, but I guess not. Like I said, I think Sydney Sweeney looked fantastic. She was dressed in Miu Miu. I think it was Miu Miu, which is an imprint of Prada. It's short for Miuccia. It's Miuccia Prada, who runs Prada. It's her nickname, Miu Miu. I love her, and I said on my Instagram, she always just looks unapologetically feminine. She never tries to be weird or artsy. She just always wants to look fuckable, and boy, oh boy, she is. I mean, putting this in my spank bank. Looks great. Yeah, I think Kim looks great. I honestly loved what Kendall wore. I think it was unique. It was Lagerfeldian because he was known for that like white crisp shirt kind of tuxedo look. Her ass looks incredible. She had her ass out all night. She was wearing this like thong, weird romper, latex condom thing to the after party. If I had that body, that's exactly how I'd be dressing. Good on you, girl. I love this. And I know this is a very polarizing look and a lot of people didn't like it. And I get why you wouldn't like it. But I think it was just really cool. Kylie's in a red dress from Cachet. It's not Chanel. It's not Lagerfeld. It's not Chanel classic era, 1920s, 30s, 40s, that whole time frame. It's not 80s Chanel, like Dua Lipa wore a dress that Claudia Schiffer wore for Chanel, I think it was fall, winter, 95, 96. What is this, Kylie? We need to talk about Florence Pugh. Girl, did you shave your head for this? Did you shave your head for this? Please tell me you didn't shave your head for this. Please tell me you didn't shave your head for this. I said on my Instagram, Florence seems like a really cool chick, and I think she's pretty, and I think she's a great actress. I also think she's delusional about how hot she is and what she can pull off. I think she's delusional about her body type. She's like a little apple, you know, she's a little like stocky apple. She's not willowy, but she wears things that I just don't think are super flattering for her figure. CC Maren Morris. Maren Morris is built like a fucking thumb. I have issues with her because of her feud with Brittany Aldean. Karen. Maren is a Karen, and I don't like her one bit. But I have seen Maren Morris multiple times, and both like on concert and in real life, and she seems to think she is like 5'10" and 105 pounds, and she's not. She's like 5'2". And I'm like, you do not understand what your body shape is. And you end up looking like a wiener dog in rhinestone denim because you don't understand your proportions. And it's just very unflattering. And I feel like Florence Pugh is kind of like that. Like, I just don't think she dresses for her figure in a great kind of way. Like, when I see her in movies, she looks better because there's a costumer who's dressing her, and I think they know how to dress her better. Why did you shave your head? And I Googled this, and maybe you guys found something I didn't, but I couldn't find anything as of last night that explained why. It's not like for a part or something. And she looks good. Like, she's got a great shaved head. She doesn't look bad with a shaved head. It's not the shaved head. It's the 9 months from now shaved head, the 18 months from now shaved head, where it's this long. It's like when people half shave their head. Have fun with that when it starts to grow out. Have you guys ever shaved your head? Like, what was the worst point? What was the worst grow out point? Did you get extensions? Did you wear a wig? Yeah, I don't know, man. Why was Lea Michele there? We need to talk about the people who shouldn't have been there. Lea Michele, Vanessa Hudgens. Like, I have nothing against these people, but did they deserve to be at the Met Gala? Vanessa Hudgens? Another cachet dress. This was like a Jessica McClintock prom 98 dress. I don't even know what that was. Like, really? Ice Spice? I understand that I live out in the country and we're not exactly the Ice Spice audience, but I feel like I've just kind of heard about her, and she's at the Met Gala? Like, is she really that popular? Is she blackmailing Kim Kardashian? Because she is all over everything Kim is doing. She's on Kim's grid, meeting North. She's a Skims model. She's at the Met Gala with her. Like, what does she have on Kim? And I've listened to her music. I'm like, I do not like this. I do not like this. I don't know. I was just like, huh. I didn't think she was that big. And I don't think of her as like ultra fashionable either. Is she? I'm trying to think who strikes me as like really fashionable. Like, I could see like Casey Musgraves being there, the country star, because she's ultra fashionable. And I mean, she's just got this sort of like shtick. It's like, I'm like country dolly partner. I don't know. I can't stand her really either. J-Lo, I think, looked tacky. I think she just looked tacky. This halter thing, it just looks cheap. I don't know. I don't think it looks cheap. You could probably say the same thing about Kendall's outfit, and I get that, but she's got such a great body, and I just think it looks like a weird beach cover-up. I don't know. I don't like it. Everyone was going bananas for Jared Leto's outfit. Cool. Yeah. Have you ever put on one of those outfits? I had to one time at summer camp. They like made me greet people in like a furry outfit. I thought I was sweating my dick off out there. It was awful. It was awful. At least it's not in heels. Amanda Seyfried divided a lot of people with her dress. Some people put her on the worst dress list. I understand where she was going with this look. I think it was trying to be like 1930s, like Belle Epoque, even though that was like the 20s of Paris. That kind of like vibe, that Paris, it girl kind of thing. I get it. It just kind of didn't land. And I think the problem was her hair and her dress and her skin were all the same color. I think if this dress had been a different color, maybe like black and white, it would have really hit. It just kind of didn't get there, and I just blame the colors, or maybe she has spray tan or whatever. So tell me what you guys think about that. And let's talk. Well, actually, hold on. Let me read some of what you guys had to say, because of course I love your feedback. It's always so funny. I also need to touch on Anne Hathaway being there. She's like the new Versace poster girl. Versace. Listen, I recently spent some time at the Versace mansion in Miami. I know that brand inside and out. You want to know my favorite quote by Gianni Versace? You dress sophisticated women. You dress elegant women. I dress sluts. That's a real quote by Gianni Versace. He loved sluts, like earthy, slutty, messy, sexual women. That's not Anne Hathaway. If the quote had been, you dress elegant women, sophisticated women, I dress theater kids. Perfect. But that's not the quote, and I just don't she is the antithesis of the Versace woman. Monica Bellucci, Versace. Even Sydney Sweeney, sure, Versace. Like someone who's just like sexy. You could even say Kylie, because she's all about just that one-dimensional sexuality. Anne Hathaway? Anne Hathaway has a closet full of free Versace. And it's not that she looks bad in it. It's that it's not her ethos. It's not her vibe. Pisses me off. And it just kind of, it puts a point on the fact that like we have a dearth of sexual, earthy women. And again, that's why I love Sydney Sweeney, because she just embraces it. She's feminine, but I wouldn't say she's like that earthy Monica Bellucci, Sofia Vergara, like sexuality, like Sophia Loren, Bridget Bardot, Angelina Jolie, for Christ's sakes, where they are like an unapologetic woman. They will fuck your man and maybe you too. And you're like, I love that. Where is that woman? Where is that woman? Why have we veered away from that? Yeah, we need the artsy types. Yeah, we need the like gamine kind of ones who are like wearing the menswear and the Olivia Wildes. But we also need that kind. Can you think of a woman who embodies that? A celebrity who embodies that? And I think there's something so powerful in that like, that instinctual basicness of just sexual rawness. And I think it's really missing, because women are supposed to be like men. Now we're all just the fucking same. I think honestly, if there's almost anyone, it's Cardi B. Oh brother, Cardi's saving femininity. Like maybe J-Lo. I don't know. She's so sporty though. You know, I think of her as very, very sporty. I think that's not going to be an American. I think it's going to be somewhat Shakira. I feel like Shakira is kind of that way. I don't know. Oh, so you guys, okay, so here's some of your guys' thoughts. Some of you guys trashed Kendall and J-Lo, saying Chanel is the epitome of class. Coachella is for having your ass and tits out, not the Met. Objections just sustained. I definitely get that. And I had said on my Instagram that I believe Lily Collins is like the quintessential modern Chanel muse. I don't think she was the best dressed last night, but I think if you had to make a modern Chanel it girl, it is Lily Collins. She just embodies that. Am I biased because she's in Emily in Paris? Maybe. But also, I think she's the only actress who could be in Emily in Paris. I think she just is perfect for that role. She's this little gamine bird thing, and I think she's great. One of my favorite comments, just pearls. There's a line between glamour and an extra in a 90s Prince music video. It's so true. Prince was obsessed with pearls. The king of blouses loved pearls. I think Kim's pearls were great. I think because of the color. They were like an off-white. Lizzo, you know I hate Lizzo. She actually didn't look terrible, but the pearls were so white, they looked like plastic. They looked cheap. And I mean, I'm sure they were plastic, you know, but they looked it. It looked costumey. Some of you guys had most disappointing Met Gala ever, hated almost everything. I think this was my favorite Met Gala. I think this was my favorite. I think it was classy, but people took like riffs on a Chanel theme and like dialed it up a notch in a way that was interesting, but still respectful to the theme. But you guys, you know, I can see why you think ass and titties did not put respect in there. So, okay, what keeps coming up? Yeah. How to be an it person, how to climb a social ladder. Like I said, I've done it. My social ascension, my foray into being a social climber started freshman year of high school. So I went to a K through 8 middle school. I was at the same school from kindergarten to 8th grade. Vista Verde in Irvine, Vista Nerdy, and we were nerds. I mean, we were nerds, honey. I loved it. It was a paradise. And then we got to high school, and make no mistake, my high school is still extremely nerdy, and all the popular kids were still like very nerdy. Like no one was bullied. No one was like, the drug kids weren't cool. Like it was cool to be smart. It was cool, you know, it wasn't cool to not try, but we're going to put a pin in that and get to that in a minute. But I was still not part of the cool clique because the cool clique were the rich kids and they had gone to their own separate like middle school and whatever. And so I was an outsider, and I was like, I literally remember the day I did this, and I had my friends from my middle school, and I remember thinking, I will break into that group. We call them the preppies. I will be in the preppies. I'm going to do this. And I came home and I told my mom, I said, I'm going to do this. I will be popular. And it's funny, like my mom and my friend Jacques, follow him on Instagram, Unpopular JP. He's fantastic. He's like a sassy gay version of me. They were both in Montana visiting me, and my mom was like, don't you think it's crazy that like Shallon ended up in Montana? He's like, kind of. He's like, I don't know. She's got a pretty country heart. I get it. And she's like, yeah, you know, she's used to like breaking into new social groups. She's like, I remember when she was 14 and she was like, I am going to be popular. And she completely remade herself and became this like it girl. And he recounted that story to me. And I was like, I'm so glad she remembers that. And I'm so glad she remembers it that way. And it's just funny that like, that's the one story she chose to tell, you know, that like, that is the galvanizing, this is how Shallon is story. I'm like, good, because that's true. If I set my mind to something, I will remake myself in service of that goal. And I did. And so the way I did this, it was twofold. First, I communicated it to my friends at the time. I said, I want to be popular. I want to be prom queen and I want to be student body president. And by the way, I was. And my friends went in two different directions, okay? Diane and Lauren were like, cool, yeah, I get it, you know? Make all the friends you want. Miriam was like, that is so stupid. Why would you want to be friends with those people? They're dumb. Like, just they're mean and they're stupid and they're shallow and like just every stereotype, derogatory statement, assumption that she could throw out, that's what she was doing. Guess who is still in my life? Diane is one of my best friends. Lauren is one of my good friends. Lauren is also my lawyer. Hi, boo. And trust me, you don't ever want to hear from Lauren. If you hear from Lauren, you have made some grave mistakes, my friend. Anyway. And the irony was, Miriam was such a cringe lord. She was such a try-hard cringe lord. She was very into like grunge and she wanted to be cool. She was such like a cool try-hard. Like they're not cool, I'm cool. It's like, all right, you can be cool and they can be cool. And guess what? I can be friends with both of you. I can be like, oh, Miriam's cool and the preppies are cool. But she was so fucking insecure that she's like, well, you have to pick. And I was like, okay, I pick them. And she's like, what? We do not speak. Like I would consider us enemies at this point. And then my other friend, same thing. She just shit on me about it. She was a nerd. Like no. But my friends who gave me the space to change and to grow and to try different things, not only are they still in my life, I responded in kind. So when they wanted to try something, when Diane went super ska and like super like, you know, into like that music scene, I was like, hell yeah, girl, do it. When Lauren had a different group of friends, I was like, nice. I'm always going to be here for you. This isn't going to affect anything. We're going to pick up exactly where we left off. We might move different places. We're going to come back together and in and out, and life is long. We're like a flowing river. Great. That was a foundation of a friendship that will last until we are 85 years old. But the people who were like, nope, rigid, it's me or them, then it's them, bye. Because what you're doing when you're setting up rigidity, what is something that's rigid? It's also very fragile. Glass is rigid and glass is fragile. What do we say about things that are fragile? If it's fragile, let it break. I'm not in the business of delicately handling something. You know how much effort that takes? Walk around with something that's glass and crystal and delicate in your hand all day. It's exhausting. I'd rather move through life with something that's elastic, that I can pick up, put down, not worry about. It's more valuable to me because it fits into my life better. So that's the first thing I did. I cleaned out my closet. And it was sad to lose these people. They'd been my best friends literally since I was in first grade. But this is growing up. Is like, and we all face this crossroads at some point where it's like, it's you or it's me. And that you is our parents. It is what our parents think what our life should be, what our path should be. And listen, we don't encounter this fork in the road just once. It's unfortunately, we're going to encounter it many times. I think you should play this sport. I think you should go to this high school. I think you should go to this college. I think you should have this kind of job. You should marry this person. You should have kids. It keeps coming up. And I say this because if you don't get real good at choosing your path and your fork and understanding what that path is versus the path other people want you on, it gets real tough. You need to learn to recognize your path and differentiate it from other people's paths for you. But also, and this is difficult, understand what is advice that you should maybe weave into your own decision making. But also what is a staunch directive. I said you need to play baseball. You need to go to UC San Diego. I want you to have kids. That is coming from their point of view and it's rigid and therefore fragile, let it break. It's tough. This is our life's work of taking in messaging, being like, okay, how much of this is good advice? Okay, maybe I should go to UC San Diego. It's in state. It has the major I want. It would be 50 grand less than going to Boulder. Okay, I can see why she wants me to go there. Versus you have to go there because everyone in her family has gone there. Hold on a minute. I might be happier at UC San Francisco. See what I mean? So our life's work is coming up against your path versus my path. Do I choose you or do I choose me? This is part of our separation from packs as an individual. And again, this comes up all the time. The first time it came up for me was when I was 14. And because I was able to stand so firm in that, and I had that goal so clearly in my mind, that goal spoke to me on a cellular level. I will be popular. I will be popular. And you can look at that, and a lot of people did, and be like, that is the stupidest goal I've ever heard of. That is so hollow and shallow. Okay, maybe I think it's hollow and shallow to win a state tennis championship. Who the fuck cares? Well, you care. And therefore it's not hollow and shallow because it matters to you. I don't need to vote. It's none of my business, actually. I shouldn't weigh in on this at all. If you're happy, then that's the only thing that matters. And vice the fuck versa, okay? So yeah, people thought it was dumb, but it mattered to me. And that was, again, the first time I was like, well, screw you guys. It matters to me. And I became addicted to that feeling of, wait a minute. If you were really my friend, you would want me to be happy. You would want me to go after my dream. You would not need to understand it to ship it. You would just be like, hey, she's into something I'm not into. Okay, we're not children anymore. They say that you radically change every 7 years. And if you think about this, I mean, they say that your cells actually completely turn over every 7 years. If you think about this, it's very true. When you're 7, you're like, I'm not a baby, I'm a big kid, right? When you're 14, it's like, I'm not a child, I'm a teenager. When you're 21, I'm not a teenager, I'm a young adult. 28, I'm like a solid adult. When you can look at things in these 7-year increments, it makes a lot more sense. And I don't think at all it was a coincidence that this huge social revolution in my life happened at 14, you know? So that was the first thing that happened. I weeded out the people in my life, painful as that was. And I mean, it is still painful and crazy to me that those people who were they were as close to me as sisters in my childhood. They will not speak to me. And it's not, we don't speak, they won't speak to me. They won't speak to me. They have reframed me as a bully. I don't see how I'm the bully when I wanted to stay friends with them. Okay, but all right. And how my other friends are still my friend and they would never characterize me as a bully, but okay, sure. But again, like I denied them power over me and somehow I'm the bad guy. Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's painful, but it's collateral damage. You got to make these sacrifices in service of something that you want. This is growing up. The second thing you do, it's very easy, and it's a clumsy strategy though, to think that, okay, I want to break into a social group. I'm going to go after the queen bee. I'm going to try to be her best friend. Do not do that. First of all, she's used to people sucking up to her, okay? And the issue isn't she's not going to like you. It's that her vice bees, like the vice queen bees, are very protective of their status. They are going to shoot you the fuck down. It's not going to work. You want to work your way into this circle, okay? You want to befriend someone on the periphery, not a loser, which also is a clumsy, bad strategy. Although that is a strategy. You could take that route. I talk about this during Evil Week. That's more of if you want to dismantle the queen bee, that's the route you go. But if you want to just be in the social circle, that's not what I would do. You want to target somebody who is not so much on the periphery. She's kind of a butterfly person. The queen bee is like in it to win it. The butterfly person, they come in and they come out. And they come in and they come out. They're a butterfly. They're like, la, 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 la. They're part of this group, but they also have other groups. So the girl I targeted, she was part of the preppies, but she was in dance. And so she had all her dance friends. And she also took French. So she had her French club friends. And I was like, perfect. Why is this perfect? Because she has an in with the preps, but she is also used to having people in multiple other groups and mingling them. She's a connector. That is her social role. She's a connector maven. And I thought, okay, excellent. So I started ingratiating myself to her. Work like a fucking charm. She was always inviting me to things. That was her way of socializing. It wasn't weird to her. She wasn't like mine. She wasn't like proprietary over her relationships with the preps. She wasn't proprietary over the dance people. And because she had her hand in a lot of different social circles, it was no biggie. And so from there, I made friends with another butterfly sort of person, another periphery person, and you go closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until boom, you're in. And here's the thing. Take the goal of being friends with the queen bee completely off your list. You want to be kind of friends with her. You want her to like you. You don't want to be her best friend. You don't need to be. You need to establish your own hive. That's a pretty high level goal. And maybe it's not your goal, and that's fine. If you just want to be in the hive, great. Have the queen bee know you and like you, but in a way, almost be the gray man. Like you don't stick out too much. You're not on the periphery. You're just like, you're cool. You're just in it. You're in the hive. You get invited to things. You bring a cool, fun bottle of wine. Great. You're not going to be the queen bee. You can form your own faction, your own tiny hive, and you can be the queen bee in that one, but you're not going to try to unseat this queen bee. You're just going to have a hive within the larger hive. Here's something else you're going to do, because that's how it worked in high school for me, and it worked great. That's also how it's worked in Bozeman for me. There's a big group, big group, and there's a queen bee in this group, and I don't want to unseat this queen bee because I like her and she's my friend, but I also know that I don't need to be her BFF. I'm past that point in my life. I want power and clout socially, but I don't need to rule over all these people because quite frankly, I don't like them that much. I wanted to create my own hive within a hive and be the queen bee of this little hive of like just 5 people. And again, the term queen bee has evolved as I've gotten older. It's a kinder, gentler term. To me, it's not like you have to do what I say. It's like, no, I want my house to be the house that everyone hangs out at. I want to be the girl known for throwing the best parties. That's what it means to me. Not like no one is going to, it's not the Regina George on Wednesdays we wear pink kind of thing. It's more like, I don't know. I can't think of a culture example. I can always think of an example. I don't know. It's more just like you're just where people want to be, right? And if you suggest plans, people want to do it. Does that make sense? But that was high school. This is Montana. What was in between? New York City. The biggest market ever. And when I say I was popular in New York City, I mean I was popular. They wrote about me in Page 6. I was what they call a bold-faced name. I mean, I kind of still am. It was fame. And when I say I went to parties with popular people, it wasn't like Jenna, who has a lifted Tahoe. It was Bella Hadid. It was Emily Ratajkowski. It was Diane Kruger. It was Kate Hudson. It was actual popular people. Actual popular famous people. And I was coming from a small pond into a big fucking ocean, you know? And so the first thing that struck me was how overwhelmingly jealous I was, you know, because you're like, oh my God, like these people are like just huge. So you have to slay that dragon right up front. If you are trying to climb a social circle and you are overwhelmed with jealousy, you are radioactive. I've got news for you. If you think people don't pick up on that, it is the strongest smell in the world, because you know what smell that is? Desperation and insecurity. You're bitchy, you're gossipy, you cut people down, you're a pick-me. I know, because I was it, and I can look back on my behavior with way too much clarity, and it was so gross. And I remember, because I was in these circles because I was a journalist. I was editors at magazines, and I was invited to all these events like Fashion Week. I've been to the Met Gala. Like, I have been to these things. And I remember in an Uber home one time where I was just like, just like seething with like jealousy and insecurity and misery and comparison. And I was like, Shallon, you need to get a grip on this, girl. Because if you don't, you are in for a hell of a bad time in this town, in this career. And you have worked so hard to get here, and it's going to feel awful. And I'm like, okay, you're right. You can't do this. Like, I cannot live like this. I can't live like this. Because even if I wasn't at these type of industry events with like actual celebrities, I was organizing photo shoots with models, like bikini models. I worked for men's magazines. And so it's like coming or going. I was surrounded just by the elite of the elite of the elite. And I was like, bleh. And I realized I need to get curious and not furious. I need to switch this feeling of jealousy. I need to give it a new name. And I need to give that feeling, I need to call it curiosity. This horrible roiling feeling that's making me just go, ugh. What I need to frame this as magnetism. I'm not moving away from these people. I need to move towards them. And I need to find out, why are you this way? Why are you so thin? How did you get this TV show? How did you get this red carpet gig? How did you get into acting? Why is your skin so beautiful? How do you walk in those shoes? How did you start investing? I became really, really curious. Really curious. And it gave an outlet to the furious. It gave productivity to that really shitty feeling of jealousy. Because jealousy, you know how they say that grief is love with nowhere to go? Jealousy is admiration with nowhere to go, isn't it? It's that feeling of, I want to be you, but I don't know how, and I just want to die. Okay, Let's take all of that and channel it forward and learn to be productive. And we do that by pulling ourselves towards the people who are making us jealous, not away from them. That's our instinct. That's a beta instinct. Alphas can override an instinct. You probably have the instinct to just pee wherever you want. Do you override it? Okay, then. We can override this. So you want to pull yourself towards that and ask the thing that really gets under your skin. Ask them, how did you get verified on Instagram? How is your YouTube so successful? How did you go viral? Ask people. Because listen, if they're fucking dumb and they're like, I don't know, it kind of happened. Okay, that is not going to make you feel worse. That's going to make you feel better because you're going to be like, ugh. Okay, you're really dumb. So any success you have now, enjoy it because that seems fleeting. A real business person, a real expert, someone who deserves their celebrity, they've got answers. They've got strategy. They've got a long game plan, right? If you don't, good luck out there, man. You're a one-hit wonder. I was thinking today about all the people who used to be at the Met Galas that aren't anymore. Even Diane Kruger. Like, why isn't she there? Lake Bell, remember her? Where is she? There's a lot of people who are, I believe, fixtures at these places. Gone, baby, gone. So maybe they didn't know why their careers had taken off. Maybe they didn't have a lot of strategy. Maybe they weren't playing it super great. The people who you want to emulate are. So get curious and not furious and pull yourself towards the people who get under your skin the most. So this dovetails into the next thing you're going to do. Charm. Charm, charm, charm. What is charm? Charm is warmth and warmth is access. Charm is listening, first and foremost. People love to talk about themselves. Everyone's favorite subject is them, you know? That is what everyone wants, is to be asked questions, which is what always pisses me off about celebrities who don't want to do red carpet interviews. It's like, bro, you are literally going against the hardwiring of human beings. You can't sit and talk about yourself for 3 minutes. We all love to do this. This is the thing we love to do the most, is talk about ourselves. Anyway. You want to indulge people in that. And if you are getting curious and not furious and asking people questions, they are going to remember you as charming because you're going to be a good listener because you are actually really listening to this. You want to know the answer. How did you get to where you did? What was your path? What were some of the hardships? That's incredible you overcame that. So you're going to paraphrase back what they're saying. Oh, so you took a course in this. That's fascinating. I never even thought about doing that. You're going to paraphrase it back to let them know you're listening. You're going to add a compliment and you're going to yes and them. Yes, and I feel like that probably gave you some insight into that industry overall. And they're going to say, yes, it did. And I then did. Yes, you're going to just keep building on what they're saying. That's conversation pretty much 101. Look up the concept of paraphrasing. Take an improv class also. Like truly a foundation of my charm and my ability to public speak quickly and hopefully entertainingly is improv. It forces your brain into hyperspeed and to spit out some sort of relevant answer. And it also forces you to build on what other people are saying and move a conversation forward. So that is going to be absolutely instrumental in this. So you're going to target the right people. You're going to lean into what they're doing that kicks up something in you that's what you want. You're going to ask them about it. You're going to listen. You're going to be engaged, right? And if it seems like they don't want to talk about, oh, everyone talks to me about my videos that went viral. Okay, hey, you're going to pivot that strategy midstream. You're going to pivot it to something that maybe people don't ask them about. I've said this before. I've dated athletes, rock stars, Grammy winners, Oscar winners. You know why? Because I don't talk to them about any of that shit. I don't talk to a musician about music. And if I do, I don't talk to them about his music. I talk to them about like, what do you think of Tom Waits? What's the deal with Tom Waits? They're like, oh my God, have you not heard Tom Waits? No, I haven't, but I know Scarlett Johansson put out like an album of just Tom Waits covers. Shallon, I'm gonna make you a mixtape. Okay, tell me all about it. I'm a blank slate. Tell me. I've told this story a million times. I had a hockey ex and he was really into jet skiing. He was really into his lake. Like this lake he lived on. He was really into his little sister. I talked to him about that. If the world at large is only focusing on one aspect of this person's personality, you are tapping into, I wouldn't even call it a shadow self. I would just call it like a a side self that no one ever thinks to ask them about. But look, this is stuff that is all very based in others, right? This is like, okay, focusing on your dynamics with other people. What about yourself? What are you doing for yourself to work on yourself at this time? Do you know what every celebrity, every A-lister in the world has in common? Whether they're a Formula One driver, whether they're a porn star, a clarinet first chair. Do you know what they all have in common? They care. They care about something, and they care a lot. It is not cool to not care. To be a Bart Simpson, whatever, I don't even care. I don't care. I don't study. I don't care. Have fun being poor. Have fun being poor. Every kid I know from middle school who was like that, they're poor. They have multiple DUIs. Great. I hope 6th grade was awesome for you. Sorry about the rest of your life. Every kid who is like trying and just studying, but they're doing pretty goddamn well, myself included. Celebrities give a shit about things. They don't just care about something, they're actually experts. Even rappers who seem, it's like, oh, they're just drinking and smoking all day. If they are, again, this is like, you know, the one-hit wonders, good luck. Good luck, because you don't have any kind of longevity. You know how many one-hit wonder rappers there are, or singers, or, I mean, models who like start doing drugs and then they're just done. Great. The people who have longevity, oh, they care. And they make it seem like they're just cool as a cucumber. They're like ducks, you know, gliding on the surface, paddling like crazy beneath. I'm the same way. My grid, it's like, oh, these photos are just like, wow, casual. I'm freezing my ass off in Paris for these photo shoots. I'm spending hours researching these stories, you know? Like, it's supposed to look easy, but that's the thing. You're not a professional. They are not professionals because it is easy. They are professionals because they make it look easy. Never forget that. Never forget that. Never forget that. You need to have expertise. Why should anyone talk to you? Why should anyone follow you? Why should anyone pay you? Interesting people have interests. Interesting people have interests. What are you passionate about? What are you working on? What are your goals? Can you not answer that question? Then you're not going to be an it girl. You're just not. And if you are, it is a total fucking accident. And you are going to be looking over your shoulder all the time for someone who's coming to unseat your power. Did we not see this in Gossip Girl? Right? Look at Blair Waldorf. And you know I love Blair. I mean, I love her. I describe myself in like my business communications, like when I pitch myself to brands, as Blair Waldorf meets Dr. Phil. Right? But Blair was constantly worried about her power, and her biggest threat was Jenny, Little J. Why? Little J had a talent. She was a fashion designer, wasn't she? Blair didn't like that. That was a real threat, because what was Blair's talent? Just being kind of mean and strategy. That's not really a talent. And so she was always up and down. There were always threats to her because she didn't have anything that anchored her as a leader. You know what I mean? Jenny did. And if that show had gone on and showed them throughout life, Jenny ostensibly would have become more popular and more famous. Serena had maybe like kindness on her side. Blair, ruthlessness isn't really like a trait. I mean, it's my favorite trait, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You have to have more than just charm. If it's just charm and hollow charm and listening and scooting around and moving around, cool. Then you know what you are? You're someone who's just going to get used. You're basically an emotional whore. They're going to use you. Oh, I just can't wait to sit and talk Shallon's ear off because she's a great listener. So I'm going to use her as this sort of like emotional dumping ground. And I don't need to ask how she is because she never really has anything to say. I'm not interested in her because she's not interesting. So you have to fuse these two things. I am a good listener and I am charming, but you're going to want to hear what I'm doing. I'm in Paris. I'm in London. I'm learning about history. I'm telling you about crypto and why it's a fucking scam. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I am always learning, always diversifying. Is it exhausting? Yes. I'm so tired. I am so tired. I'm so tired. Being an it girl is like literally exhausting. I am so tired. Okay? But I'm happy tired. I'm a happy tired. I'm a diversified tired. I'm a curious tired. We can be tired at the end of the day from being exhausted by our own bullshit and exhausted by the dreams that we're continuously running away from. Or we can be tired from listening to all these podcasts and reading and diversifying and making all these little like aspirational things we put all over our office and creating new things, and we're up late and we're sending emails. That's a kind of tired. I mean, even just thinking about this, I have this feeling spreading across my chest that's like drugs. I'm like, oh yeah. I love that feeling. I love this shit. I love the climb. I love it. The happiest times in my life were when I was climbing a social ladder. By far, by far. They were beautiful times because I was activated. I was using my mind. I was being charming. I was growing. I was growing, and I had a goal, and it was so clear to me. And I did it. I did it. And so I've been feeling kind of, if you guys are in the Shallon entourage, you've like watched the stuff I've been going through, this breakup I went through in January with this guy, Andrew. Ugh. And he was a hurt locker. And the thing that I wanted to be, you know, because we talk about hurt lockers aren't always somebody you want to date, somebody you want to be. And the thing that really sunk into me was he was so socially connected. And I wanted that. And it was like, it was so alluring. I mean, I really loved him too. I loved him too. But that was like a huge, huge thing. And I was able to have the self-awareness to be like, then just climb, girl. If that's what you want, climb, climb. You've done it before and you loved it. So you're in this new place, do it. Do it. And so this is like my goal for the year here in Bozeman, the social climb. And people can put a negative spin on that. Screw them. I don't care. It makes me happy. Who the hell are you? You paying my bills? You having sex with me? Then if you ain't getting me laid and you ain't getting me paid, you actually don't get a vote. Thanks. I get to decide what makes me happy. And if it doesn't make sense to you, maybe your life doesn't make sense to me. If I wouldn't trade lives with you, you get absolutely no votes in mine. How about that? How about that? If I don't look up to you, I don't care what you have to say about how I live my life. I don't want to live your life. I hope you're happy. That's great. You do you. Please stay out of my lane. Because my lane is beautiful. So I am giving this pep talk to myself as much as I'm giving it to you guys. So let's recap this. First things first, you want to be an it girl, you want to climb a social ladder, clean out your closet, trim those dead ends. And you're going to get real clear, real fast on who is willing to give you the space to change and to grow, and who wants you to stay in a box, to validate their ideas of who you are, so you're not disrupting their risk machine, so you're not disrupting their ideas of how the world works, and most importantly, you're not disrupting their ideas of what is possible. Because if you ascend and if you change, then they have to look at the possibility that it is a possibility. And that the reason they're not changing isn't because it's impossible, it's because they just don't have the wherewithal to do it. That's what it comes down to. Number two, you're going to target people who are butterflies, not like weirdo periphery people, butterflies. They dip in and out. They have different groups of friends. They're connectors. Number three, you're going to get curious, not furious. When people make you jealous, reframe that not as a bad emotion, but as a magnetic emotion. That's going to pull you towards that. You're going to dismantle in your mind. You're strong enough to do this. We all are. We're alphas. Why does this kick something up in me? What do I want to be? What about them is something I want for myself? And how can I figure out how they did it? How can I do that? 4, is that 4? Charm. You're gonna listen, you're gonna ask questions, you're gonna paraphrase, you're gonna yes and. 5, you're going to expertise yourself. Interesting people have interests. You're going to pick some passions, some hobbies, and you are gonna go full effing throttle towards them. It's a fun climb, guys, and it's beautiful at the top. Tell me your thoughts on the Met Gala. Who looked great? Who looked terrible? Have you climbed a social ladder? How did it feel? What was an unexpected obstacle? What was an unexpected boost? Was there a way you did it? How did you leapfrog to the top? We're going to talk about it even more in the comments. And like I said, join the Shallontrage if you want some Evil Week access where I talk about this way more in depth, and join my Appy Endings dating app course, 5 days, 5 videos right down below. We just dropped the price. See you later, Shalligators.